Today I'm going to talk probably about the most important issue with Angular development. This is SEO. As you know that Angular it's probably the best, and it's probably the reason why, at least why we switched to Angular development. It's possible to do wonderful user experience. So when I click on the page, it automatically doesn't make a request to the site. Everything is loaded and everything responsive, and all this good issue that you're probably familiar with. There is one but important issue, and this issue is so important that all this user experience and all this possibility, they do not matter if we cannot solve this one. And this is search engine optimization, and another phase of this problem, it's social sharing. So if this is how I encountered with this problem. So if I want to share this article, it's not easy to do, because when Facebook crawler come to this page, and everything that it sees, it will be, this is JavaScript. It's development build, but you know the problem. So all this text, all this menu and everything that you see here, it actually was compiled with JavaScript. And despite the fact that at least Google told that it runs JavaScript, and it uses for its indexing, uses web page how users, or it's very close to how user will see that. At least for our website, I didn't find it completely working. So if I check what has been indexed for this site, it just completely, it's in some cases it renders it, and I can see some title, especially in the menu, but this article is completely lost. So how to solve this problem? And if you watch this problem if you try to find a solution, most of the solution is actually go to direction that so what we need to do once we build but first of all, the solution of this problem is only one, and you have to keep two versions of a website. Yeah, it's a bad news, I know. It's much more work, but after I don't know, after a week of research, this is my conclusion. I may be wrong, and maybe it will change in the future, but I don't see any safe and reliable way to keep your website. So you have to keep one of them static website. It's not, maybe it's not correctly to call it static, but I would say server-side solution. And because what happens when Angular, when I load even a home page with Angular, it makes, okay, not now, that's right, that's wonderful. I guess it's something, yeah, okay, I will take a look. Something it doesn't render, maybe because I changed resolution, but that's okay. So we have so what happens that all this text is, and all user actions are rendered in JavaScript. But if we are talking about server-side solution, that when user comes to this page, server behind the scene is making requests to database, in this case Firebase, and when it gets information, the page renders. And in this case, specifically when I tried to put Facebook share button on this page, it was not, and I wanted this button to be rendered like a preview. So when the user clicks on share, it has on his timeline or on his like some kind of preview. So the Facebook crawler comes here, so it sees this page, it takes some kind of snapshot, and you can see that this some kind of thumbnail of this page, and can you know, at least make a decision whether it's worthwhile to click on this link. And with Angular is not like I showed. If you take a look, this is what Facebook crawlers see. Definitely doesn't show much, so you will get an empty page. And well, the solution, like I said, is to keep two versions. And most of the solution there is render.io. This is application, and what they're doing that when you their idea is that they will go page by page, and once they have this page rendered from JavaScript, literally what they do, they just save it. Come on, save this. They just save it, and they remove some kind of everything that is not. I'm talking about render.io. That is not that doesn't contain any semantics, and then it saves it. And when crawlers comes, instead of to this page, instead of seeing this page, they just send it to another URL where on the same site where this page is in static view. And another solution would be to use PhantomJS, and PhantomJS, this is a virtual browser, and the approach is the same. So you just, after you upload your website, you have to run PhantomJS. It went over all the pages, do all the indexing, and then you do the same of forwarding all crawlers, and they when they come here, they identified themselves, so it's easy to if it's easy to distinguish a real user from crawlers. And users will come to this page, and crawlers will come to static page. And in my opinion, and I tried to implement it, but I went a bit another way. But it's appeared it's not practical. Why? Because at least for this application, so first of all, it's not automatic. So what you need to do is just every time you update it, you need to run either PhantomJS or I use it another approach. I use it Protractor and WebDriver, and but the approach was the same. You have to do it manually. And for like small application, your like personal blog or something, it's practical. But in our case, it's a newspaper, and people can. We have several authors who are logged in by themselves, and when they write article, they want immediately to share it. And well, who will start this? Who will start this process manually? So I think that the only way, and well, I'm open to discussion. Maybe somebody can suggest another solution, but I would find that you need to keep server-side version. And so this is a bad news. The good news that you don't need to keep all this responsiveness, all this design on server side, because still you will you just need a text with a page, but it must be rendered on the server. So when the crawler comes, it will see real page with text. And I will show you how to solve this problem. And it happens like this, that this site is hosted on Apache, and we need to deal with PHP like server-side solution. It's not the best, and especially if you develop in Angular for couple of years, like we do, well, when you come back to PHP, or at least it happens with me, I found myself helpless first, and it scared me. But then I started, when I start to read documentation, I start to remember it, and after 2 days of work, you're pretty capable to work equally well with server and user side. So for specifically for this application, I choose to use Laravel. Maybe it's not required. Maybe pure PHP would be enough, but it seems to me that with production you should use some framework. Maybe after working, because Laravel is probably the best framework and PHP framework, at least from my experience, but it comes for some price. So setting it up, installing it, and all this Composer, Artisan, maybe it was a bit too much, and I mean about investment of times. It was too much than I expected. Maybe staying with pure PHP or using something like CodeIgniter would be more reasonable here. But you choose yourself. So what my plan was. So I have this article here, and it's on server. I cannot show on server because it happens to be that our customers, they I don't know, they do not have, or they cannot get it fast. So the PHP version where they host it is 4.4. It's very old, so no Laravel version is working with such ancient PHP engines. So for now I will show you on localhost, and once we get update to PHP, or at least access to panel, I will be able to show how it works on real website. So first of all, what my plan is. So in WebStorm, inside of htaccess, so this is what execute this separation. So when the request comes, we check what is your user agent, and if user agent is Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and definitely I need I need to add Bing and other services here. And if it is like this, and this is like regular expression, and I check requested URL and it doesn't contain static, then whatever you have here, forward it to a static in front. So in other case, if user comes to and with this low resolution, I cannot switch in fast. So when user comes and so it checks, so you have like user agent, Mozilla, Samsung, or IE, or whatever. Okay, just come to this page. If any crawlers comes, it checks, you are a robot. Okay, go please to this static article and this link. What happens after this? I already upload, but because of this PHP version, it doesn't work. So I will show the solution on local PC. And if we come to the localhost and tell them static article and here. Okay, I already have it here. Or so now it's the same page, but if you check view page source, well, this is like converted 60 by 64 image, but if you skip it, so you can see that between our body and our body element, it contains real text. It doesn't contain JavaScript, and it's enough. It will be enough for Facebook crawler come to this page, sees this text, make a snapshot with it, and when we click like or share, it will be correctly rendered. That's my solution. So the conclusion is, and this is probably, so if you start your application, because well, I knew about this problem, but I thought I underestimate its difficultness, and I thought that it's possible to use something less painful, but this is the way which is completely automatic, and it can be I don't need to run this crawlers, I don't need to pay to render IO or something like this. So despite the fact that yep, I need to keep two applications, one of them for SEO and one of them for users, and probably if I had a choice and I can use not hosting with Express, it would be a bit easier, because well, I don't know, now I thought that I still can program in other languages. I still can do, but switching immediately, it's so painful. Still JavaScript, and this is my solution, and I would be interested to first of all to get your feedback, and maybe you can suggest some easier and faster way to solve this problem. Thank you very much, and talk to you later. Bye.